So I know that you are in your role, you're really focused kind of on online video programmatic executions, and you spend a lot of time on automotive, right?
Yeah, I mean, we spend a lot of time across a number of verticals, but certainly automotive is one that's critical today.
Well, and I'm sorry, I'm going to attach to that because I think automotive is a really, when we talked about with Michael and a few other folks, I think it's really interesting that that is an industry that has a very standard set of KPIs, right? Like they know what actually drives acquisition and moves the needle on their P&L.
Sure.
And how is that brought into the programmatic strategy? How's it influencing it or driving your agenda as far as how you're buying for them?
Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I'm not going to say anything that's too new because I think we've had a great panel of people who've spoken about this, but it really becomes a mindset. The one thing, and I've said this before, that's fascinating is that programmatic is not a replacement for the media planning function and tools. There's still an art that's underlying that, and that's really what the media planners do. Programmatic is allowing us to think more creatively and more intelligently, more cogently about the KPIs. And yes, there are KPIs that are predetermined. I mean, you're right, automotive's been around for a long time and we know how to drive people onto lots and we know the things that are moving the needle. And programmatic is allowing us to more efficiently execute against those. But I think the more interesting thing is it's allowing the mindset to evolve. We're not limited by the same KPIs anymore. I think programmatic, again, is allowing us to be much more efficient with our money and much more efficient with our planning. So it's allowing our planners and our strategists and our media experts to say, well, let's experiment across a different KPI at an efficient way that doesn't necessarily blow through the budget. So it's actually, there are small steps, but potentially sea changes, not just in automotive, but across the entire breadth of product categories.
So it's interesting. So, I mean, that sort of test and learn mindset, that disappeared for, I mean, like in automotive in particular, that disappeared for a long time, right? I mean, it used to be that if you can get like 2% of $1 billion, you know, that was a pretty great test and learn budget. And then that even disappeared for a while out of the big three. So it sounds like there's a greater receptivity. Is it because it's a more calculated risk because we have data attached to it?
Yeah.
There's systems and controls? Like
there's systems, there's data, and there's cost efficiencies and cost parameters that haven't necessarily existed before. Again, it's allowing us to do things at more cost efficient and reasonable levels, and I think that's allowing the clients to have a much more of an appetite to make those types of experiments. You know, Mike and Christy were talking about it. To me, the biggest thing about programmatic is, you know, we've talked a lot about programmatic direct and bid and RTB and all these things, but the reality is we're just talking about a better and more efficient tool for our planning teams. And I think sometimes we lose sight of that. The philosophy change is the bigger issue, and I think what it's allowing us to do, or actually what's incumbent upon us as a media agency, is to really begin educating our clients and saying, there's nothing to be afraid of. It's not big data, it's actually useful data. We talk about, you know, we're kind of biased because we've got, you know, the IPG world here, but we talk about centralized data and AMP. We've got the data that proves out and enables us to do a lot of the things that we want to do. It's incumbent upon us and at the agency level to really begin educating our clients and saying, look, programmatic is going to allow you to experiment against new KPIs, allow you to experiment in more nuanced ways. And it's allowing us to build up really diverse, interesting teams of people that go beyond just media, but go into real outcomes and things like that.
And do you find right now, I mean, have we reached a point in time where clients are more I mean, I know, you know, we're in this constant state in the agency world of clients want more for less, right? Like, so that's the procurement side of the business. Get it, check that box. Yeah. But if we talk about programmatic, you know, for a long time it was about leading and getting our clients to follow. Yeah. It sounds like there's almost a bit of a change of you know, the tide in that clients are becoming more receptive and open and understanding the power that automation and work, you know, these things provide them.
I think clients are always receptive. I think it's sometimes catching up to the changes that are happening. You know, the best metaphor, it's really a 50-50 equation. So Christy talked about the barbell. It's a barbell also, and a perfectly balanced barbell in terms of how much we're leading and how much they're leading. And I think we have to be in lockstep. Essentially, I would sort of, as we push down to the agency level, you know, I'm kind of, and you can clearly tell from my physique, but I'm the weightlifter holding up the barbell. You like that? Balancing the programmatic and custom. So that's kind of the metaphor that goes through, and it's really incumbent upon us to to continue to experiment in custom, but also to continue to move forward with programmatic.